For me this morning, I'm going to be covering three things. Talk a little bit about myself. I don't get an opportunity to talk about myself too frequently, so I'm going to attempt to do that this morning. Talk about Data 3 and the market in which we operate. So starting with myself, and I'm not going to cover really my professional background in too much detail. You can read that on LinkedIn. But I'll tell you three interesting facts. Well, I hope you find them interesting this morning. The three facts, before I do that, I'm going to cover some personal background to give you some context on the facts. Starting with my parents. My parents were English. My father was, and I was actually born in Canada, so this is where this works there. There we go. From a global perspective, born in Canada. My father had a double first-class honours degree in maths and physics from Manchester University, and after leaving the Royal Navy, he joined the Canadian government and worked on some secret project, something to do with submarines, but we never really found anything out about that. Soon after that, though, he made a very wise choice and moved us from Canada and moved us to New York City and worked on Wall Street as an analyst. So they've got a few analysts here this morning, have we? Yes, absolutely. So as I said, a very wise decision. I grew up as a child in Staten Island. You can tell by my New York accent. And after 10 years, then moved to the UK. After living and working in London for many years, moved to Brisbane. And in fact, soon after, and that was 28 years ago. Right now, I've got 5 beautiful children with one wonderful wife. In fact, 2 recent grandchildren. And really, I just wanted to move on to really the 3 facts. The 3 facts were 1 claim to fame, 1 famous incident, and 1 iconic project. So let me cover those. My first is the claim to fame. I played cricket in the same team as Imran Khan. Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that. For those of you who don't know, one of the greatest players in the world at the time, he was actually playing for a county side in Sussex, and it was during a time where there was player restrictions, international player restrictions in the UK. So he had to play a season at the local club side, and I just happened to play for the local club side at the time. But that was certainly a great introduction to someone very famous, and certainly very famous today. Second famous incident. This one's a little bit more. I gained my first real job when I was 18 at Nissan UK. It was the head office of Nissan in the UK. And they had a great investment in soccer and cricket teams, and it was a big rivalry in terms of a Nissan European Cup. So Nissan UK then decided to invest in all the local sporting talent and get them within the organisation. So I was placed in the accounts department as a vacancy, placed in there. I remember my interview with the finance director at the time. And walking into his office with big wood panels and huge leatherback chair. In fact, he was smoking cigars as well. And I was sitting on the smaller chairs at the front of his office. And he seemed to like me, though, and enabled me to start a career in accounting. I did some low-level tasks, started working within the accounts department, low-level tasks like tax returns for Nissan UK. And he acted as a referee for my future jobs. Well, anyway, soon after I decided to move to Australia, Nissan UK was raided by 100 special agents because of a VAT tax fraud. It was one of the largest ever in the UK. The MD fled the country, and 2 of the directors were jailed, including the finance director. And you'll be pleased to know I removed him from my CV when I applied to Data 3 25 years ago. I bet my team didn't know that. See, you can find something else. When I'm talking about myself, you can find something else about me. The third fact, and really this is an iconic project, I helped build the Channel Tunnel. In fact, I supplied the computer-aided design systems for the Channel Tunnel way back when. And I recall at the time there was doubt whether the tunnel will actually meet in the middle because of the strained Anglo-French relationships. And I think this probably still rings true today, particularly with Brexit going on right now. That Channel Tunnel project is probably one of the reasons why I'm in IT today. And it's not really for the technology. I'm actually passionate about what technology can actually do for business. And really, in this case, it was actually bringing two nations together, whether they liked it or not. And we've, from a Data 3 perspective and bringing it into reality and bringing it to life today, the Data 3 vision statement is to harness the power of people and technology for a better future. And we try and bring that to life on a day-to-day basis in terms of right across our team. I've got an example of that later in my presentation. It's a great picture of our Toowong office, for those of you who don't know it, on High Street. We've been together as a business for 40 years. In fact, started over 40 years ago with Powell Clark Associates, PCA, with Terry Powell and Graham Clark, both of which sitting directly in front of me. Interesting, and it was because a little while ago I had the opportunity of visiting HP in the US and seeing how they started with Dave Hewlett and Bill Packard. So and started the Hewlett-Packard organisation, in fact, the start of Silicon Valley. The thing in common between the two, Powell Clark and Hewlett-Packard, there are two things. One, they both started in a garage. Powell Clark was in a garage in Yeronga, I believe, and Hewlett-Packard in Silicon Valley. But the other thing that they shared in common was it must be a naming convention back then. It must have been 40 years ago. Just use the surnames of the founders to make the name of the company. Anyway, those are the two things in common. In 1984, Data 3 was formed with several other founding directors, and two others are here this morning. So John Grant and Mark Esler then joined the business to form Data 3 in 1984. Moving through the years, though, we listed again in 97, and we listed in our IPO. Can anyone remember our IPO then? $14.9 million. Today, our market cap is over $300 million. Over the years, we've had great expansion right across the country, and the latest expansion is in Fiji. I'm not aware of any other Australian company or IT company that has as rich a history or as a successful background as Data 3. I'm certainly not aware of any in terms of our successful track record. Today we have over 1,100 people across many locations, got $1.2 billion in revenues, got a pretty reasonable share price growth over the years, and we've also had huge growth in a thing called public cloud as well. Many of you will be familiar with that, things like the Microsoft Azure, Office 365, and the like. In fact, Data 3 is the largest public cloud provider in the country. Not bad for a small Queensland company. We often get asked, what does Data 3 actually do? Well, a few of us got together in terms of our strategic planning team, a few in the room this morning, and we put our heads together and we came out with this. We help our customers achieve their goals in a digital world with innovative technology solutions. That's what the bright minds came up with, and that's what we do. I actually tested this out a couple of weeks ago with my family, because they often ask me, what does Data 3 actually do? I provided this statement, and they still don't know what we do. Put a little bit more colour to it, and again, Tim mentioned that we provided a range of these technology solutions. So outwardly to our customers, we provide these solutions to help them solve their business problems. And they include mobility, cloud, data analytics, security, IT lifecycle management. For our customers, and our customers are usually the large corporates and governments around the country, they certainly understand this terminology. Our other strategy across these solutions is to provide as full a life cycle as possible. And what we mean by a life cycle is starting with and helping our customers with consulting, so turning the business problems and understanding what technology solutions can provide. Consulting, then we provide the design, implementation, and the support services. So to fill out those solutions in as full a fashion as possible. So that's what we actually do as a business. Supporting those solutions, again, Tim mentioned that we've got some pretty significant and unique relationships with some of the major vendors globally. These vendors in particular are Microsoft, Cisco, HP and Dell. And these organisations are certainly driving the market in which we operate. And anyone can pick up a paper today. You can look at the US market. It is being driven largely by a number of these organisations. And across our customers, again, the larger corporates and governments, these organisations tend to represent maybe 75 to 80% of the total spend anyway. So probably not a number of people would actually be aware, but we're Microsoft's largest partner in the region. In fact, we're top 10 globally with Microsoft as well. Again, not bad for a little Queensland company. Likewise, we're number 1 with HP locally, top 2 with Dell and Cisco. In fact, we're Cisco's Software Global Partner of the Year currently. We keep up to date with a range of the roadmaps, so sitting on advisory boards and talking with the global leaders, we keep up to date, and that helps us guide our future investments. And in fact, in the last 12 months, I've met with 3 of the 4 global CEOs of these organisations. And in fact, only a few weeks ago, we hosted the global chief of HP in our Toowong office, who met with a number of customers and our staff as well. So, what I'd like to do now is just give you some probably an example of what we actually do provide with our customers as well. And I'd like to introduce the topic of digital transformation. And those of you who have seen a number of other technology presentations, there's no IT presentation worth its salt without talking about digital transformation. So I thought I'd play a video, a very short one, to introduce the topic and introduce what we do with our customers as well.
Digital transformation centres on harnessing the power of people and technology to develop new competition, new markets, and deliver products and services in ways that were previously unimaginable. It's the sweet spot where technical transformation meets business transformation, 2 functions operating in tandem to realise business goals. With digital transformation, the competitiveness of a business is dependent on how well it can exploit third platform technologies. Integration with technologies such as 3D printing, AI, augmented reality and robotics are now possible, taking competitive advantage to a whole new level. As a result, IDC are now predicting digital transformation spending will reach $1.7 trillion worldwide by the end of 2019. For some, digital transformation can be daunting, but it doesn't have to be if you focus on getting the underlying digital platform right. Take the City of Adelaide. They're establishing an IoT platform to reduce traffic congestion. The platform is designed to tap into data from potentially billions of connected devices, so it's almost infinitely scalable. Sensors gather intersection approach traffic information, including location and speed of vehicles, dwell time and queue length, as well as pedestrian movements. The information is then run through algorithms to fine-tune traffic light timing and improve traffic and pedestrian crossing flow. While that meets today's needs, it is also being assessed to determine if in future it can also manage the location and movement of autonomous vehicles, paving the way for their introduction and a longer-term strategy for reducing traffic congestion. It's business and technology working together to put the needs of the community at the centre of decision-making.
Okay, hope that provided a little bit of context. Now, just have a look at the Australian market. And it's estimated that the Australian market in which we operate is $90 billion. We're a $1.2 billion business, so there's plenty of scope for growth, particularly from our major centres in Sydney, Melbourne and Canberra for us as a business. Overall, the sector's growing at about 3% globally and also locally. And that's faster than we've ever seen, certainly in the last 10 years. Digital transformation is fueling that technology spend. And after more than 30 years in the industry, I've never seen so much potential for future growth. Every company and every government has a digital strategy, and some companies, the only strategy is digital. Gone are the days when IT or a cost base was considered a cost base. Today, it is the primary business enabler. The spend on digital is increasing outside of the traditional IT department and with the lines of business. Now, just when you're getting an understanding of digital transformation, I'm going to look at an even broader context and introduce the topic of the fourth industrial revolution. Everyone's heard of the examples of Uber and Airbnb with digital transformation. I'm pretty sure that everyone within this room has heard of those. But something much bigger is happening, and something much bigger is happening on a global scale. Digital transformation is only one part of the equation. I thought I'd put this topic into a wider context for this audience and take a leaf out of the World Economic Forum and introduce the topic of fourth industrial revolution. I'd like to play a short video which explains the fourth industrial revolution a little bit better than I do, and then again I'll provide some further examples as well. Bet you didn't realise you were going to get a history lesson as well this morning, so hopefully that again provided a little bit of context in some of the world that we live in. But the fourth industrial revolution really is blurring the lines between digital, physical and biological. The change is far greater than any particular technology trend that we've seen. And believe me, I've seen many technology trends, and so have our team over many years. Fourth industrial revolution is different though, with artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, IoT, they're becoming part of our everyday life, and even within our bodies. Things like 3D printing hip replacements and heart valves. These are real things that are happening today. We've got facial recognition, healthcare sensors, and voice activation on just about everything. The speed of technology innovation is one thing. And over the years and over the decades, we've seen, as the video has portrayed, the speed of innovation, that is certainly one thing, but the speed of adoption is something very different though. If we just dwell on and having a look at the speed of adoption, and there's a few proof points here. The telephone took 100 million users, took 75 years to adopt the telephone. To get to 100 million users took 75 years. Instagram took 2 years to sign up 100 million people. Pokemon Go got 100 million users in 30 days. So who recognises these symbols here today? It's one of the advantages of working with a marketing team in their 20s. So now that we've got faster adoption, it does bring issues. And many studies have confirmed that technologies like artificial intelligence will eliminate some jobs. It will also create new jobs that we haven't even considered. Human nature is to be fearful of losing a job to technology. I can understand that. But losing a job is bad enough, but losing a job to a robot is psychologically, I think, even more problematic. So, what are the kind of skills that are needed for the fourth industrial revolution? Well, I think, and a number of studies show that the skills that are needed in this new world are things like creativity, customer experience, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, judgment and decision making, and negotiation. All industries and sectors are affected by this, and many of you are seeing it day in, day out. Whether it's mining, whether it's food, whether it's tourism, retail and banking have been transformed radically in terms of how we work as consumers within those two particular sectors. But I think the biggest impact and the biggest sector impact will be in the healthcare and education space. And I'd like to provide an example of how Data 3 is making a difference in this new world. Fiona Stanley Hospital in Perth is the largest digital hospital in the country. Data 3 with Cisco provided the network infrastructure that enables the latest telemedicine, robotics, artificial intelligence. It's also got the first driverless mini vehicles that travel for kilometres through this massive campus in Western Australia. The hospital is a great example of how technology is transforming patient care in WA. This project is my recent example of my Channel Tunnel experience. It's making a difference for society, and we're providing the technology that makes that difference. We also had the the opportunity recently. The Data3 board likes to travel and get out a bit and see some of our customers and meet some of our staff as well. So recently, and a few weeks ago, we spent some time at Fiona Stanley and understanding the business a little bit more. And here we are on the helipad on the top of the hospital. And no, a shopper didn't come and pick us up and take us to Perth Airport. That would have been pretty cool, though. So, getting back to digital transformation and the fourth industrial revolution. So everything's going to be faster, cheaper, better, and we'll have more leisure time for fishing and golf. Is that right? That sounds great. Well, probably not that. Probably not that, because not all companies are prepared for the shift to digital. Issues like privacy, cybersecurity, governance and risk management on new systems are massive issues that all organisations are grappling with. Cybersecurity is a whole of enterprise responsibility and starts with the board and senior management. It's incorrect to think of cybersecurity as technology and technology only. Technology is an important factor, but cybersecurity really is a corporate governance issue. In fact, from working on vendor future roadmaps and customer feedback and understanding what's going on in the market, we invested in a security practice around 5 years ago. Today, it's one of the fastest growing parts of our business. Cybersecurity is increasing with digital transformation and fourth industrial revolution. No doubt we're at the start of this huge change, but we're also at the start of the massive threat of cybersecurity. So for all companies and all governments, the overall threat is a massive one for us that we're facing. Well, I don't want to end on that somber note, but I certainly hope over the last 20 minutes has given you a better insight into myself, Data3, the broader technology market. Many companies, it's predicted in studies, and many of you have read studies, that Fortune 500 companies will not be around in whether it's the next 5 or 10 years' time. So we've seen a lot of that, and I certainly subscribe to that point of view as well. In my experience, it's the company's ability to adapt to market conditions will be the ones that will succeed going forward. The growth in the overall technology market will absolutely grow. And certainly, I'm excited for that future challenge. In fact, Brem Hill, our CFO, and I recently met with Nick Harris, who put together the words in terms of the document that you've got on your chair. We recently met with Nick, and Nick commented that he'd never seen us so excited for Brem and I. Well, IT nerds like us can get really excited. Have a look at this launch of the Windows 95 launch with Steve Ballmer and Bill Gates. I told you we can get really excited in the IT industry. So we're excited about it. What I'd also like to say is Data3's track record over 40 years of adapting to change places it certainly in very good stead, certainly for the future, now and for the future. And really just want to thank you for your time this morning. Hope you're excited to tackle the challenges of digital transformation and the fourth industrial revolution. So thank you very much, everyone.